Good question. Got it? No. All right, guys. This is an unusual situation. We haven't, I don't believe in my background, done a three commission and board meeting before, so that's kind of fun. We have Jim, who chairs Planning and Zoning and Public Services here. And we're gonna do just one call to order and one adjournment at the end so that we don't have to go through the process repetitively. This is a special joint meeting on the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And subsequently actions to consider adoption or recommendation to the board for adoption. We have, I gotta get my note out. Let's see if I can find my note. I think everyone knows everybody, but I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be healthy to go around and just reintroduce ourselves. So there is clarity on who's talking and who's here. So let's start over here. Can't see it.
Good evening, Mackenzie Lucius.
Mike McHugh.
Matt Hayden.
Dawn Clemens.
Mike Brogy.
Jean Manchesky.
Sharon.
Doug Worspa.
Thank you. I'm Jim Simpson. I will speak a little bit more. The first four was our, I'll say, Parks Committee or Public Service. And the next three. Yep. And was it, who was on that? Yeah, and Shannon. So that's why I was going to interrupt so Shannon could introduce herself too.
Yeah, Shannon Kellogg with Parks and Zoning, or Planning and Zoning, sorry.
Planning and zoning.
Yes.
Hi, Shannon.
Hello.
All right. I'm Jane Cahill Wolfgram. I am the village president on the village board.
Colleen Little, Planning and Zoning and the Village Board.
Jan Steppenhagen Hahn, Village Board.
Bill Landgraf, trustee and also member of the Public Service Committee.
Rebecca Witherspoon, Village Board.
Isidra Allen, Village Board.
All right. Staff?
I'm Judd Blau, the Director of Public Services, Deputy Administrator and IT.
Greg Hall, I'm Deputy Director of Public Services.
Reese O'Malley, Recreation and Community Enrichment Director.
Allie Lundgren, Village Clerk. Brandy Cooper, Zoning Administrator.
All right, I think we've gotten around the room. So we're going to, it doesn't look like there's a lot of people here for the public hearing part of this. However, we will have presentations, and after the public hearing is closed, we'll have an opportunity to discuss and take some action. So then we'll be able to ask questions and get clarification on anything. Unless someone does show up all of a sudden to testify, then we can ask a clarifying question if need be. So with that, I think we can begin by opening the public hearing at 5:04 p.m. On the 2024 draft comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And let me just compliment the staff and Ben on a well done plan. Thank you guys. You put a lot of work into it. So with that, who's going first with making a presentation?
We have Ben here today with Vanderwall and Associates, so he'll kind of just give a synopsis of the plan, and then we'll be happy to get into discussion.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's in the way, sorry. So, hello all, my name is Ben Rohr with Van Wall and Associates. Thank you for inviting me this evening. I've been working with the village staff for the last several months on the development of the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, kind of coming to the culmination today of that process, and wanted to provide you all with sort of an overview, a synopsis of how we got here. For many members of the Public Services Commission and the Plan Commission, you've heard something similar, but wanted to reiterate many of these points for the village board to facilitate the discussion and potential action this evening. So starting with what is a comprehensive plan, comprehensive outdoor recreation plan? Why is it important? Well, it provides a variety of different elements in terms of looking at existing conditions, trends, issues, and opportunities, and then establishing goals and objectives like most other plans. Unique components of a park plan, though, we really analyze the existing park system, where we're going to need future, where we have future needs and gaps, providing recommendations for improvements to our existing facilities, where we see opportunities for future facilities, things along those lines. But what's important about this effort is the amount of public input that helped us get to the point where we are today in terms of informing all of those various elements, whether it's the goals and recommendations, strategies, identifying opportunities, issues, and trends. It also sets the framework for the next 5 years in terms of where the Public Service Committee, where staff is going to focus their attention in relationship to parks and recreation. It also makes the village grant eligible through the DNR with an adopted plan every 5 years. So that's an important tool for the implementation. I know the village has taken advantage of that in past years with a variety of different projects. So this continues that eligibility requirement with the adoption of the plan. The plan started, the process started back in the spring. We held a variety of different engagement opportunities through this process, one being an online survey coupled with an in-person workshop that helped us at the beginning of the process identify issues and opportunities. Then we worked through the plan itself with the Public Services Committee, gathering input from them and revising the document as we went. We had 3 different committee meetings on this topic. Then we utilized the Engage to Forest website and went out to Family Fun Night just this past fall to engage people in a variety of different ways with the draft plan in hand to gather some more input. Collectively, we received over 1,000 responses in relationship to both that front end and back end in total. I wanted to mention this in particular because of community of your size and the processes that I've done this for. This is a substantial amount of public input that's been received. And I want to applaud you for your efforts in doing so. Not every community dedicates as much time and effort to these things. And I think in relationship to a community of your size, this is a pretty substantial amount of public input to inform the development of the plan itself. So within the document, if you had a chance to look at it, the appendices has every single response we gathered through this process. So that's why it's it's very, very long in nature. But boiling it down to a high level summary, this isn't encompassing everything, but generally speaking, respondents, people in the community really find a lot of value in the park and recreation system. They find value in continuing to maintain it. They really enjoy it. They find value in and believe that people move to DeForest because of this element of the community lifestyle and living, the quality of life associated with those elements. And there's a desire for this to continue from village residents, and that prioritization continues. Well, we did also hear from a lot of people who are frequent users of the park system. So this helps us with people who are actually actively using the parks. What are they experiencing? How are they providing us with feedback on the ground, real life, situations and those things that, me as a consultant, I'm not going to personally know. Staff isn't out there every single day. And so I thought that was very valuable. Some of the most frequent in parks are some things that you're probably familiar, the largest assets within the community, like Fireman's right out here, Western Green, the trails and the corridor, things like that. We also heard opportunities where people would like to see the system expand, whether that's an existing kind of facility expanded or the opportunity for new different recreational types. And obviously, one big component of this process was we had a variety of feedback in relationship to mountain bike trails. So there is a large faction of support from local groups in relationship to mountain bike trails. There is also a large faction of people who commented in relationship to protecting environmental areas in relationship to this use. So there was differing opinions throughout this process. We tried to balance those opinions within the plan to provide guidance for the village. We're not ultimately making a decision with this plan. We're informing your future hopeful decision-making on this front. Likewise, I think it should be noted though, that outside of just this particular mountain bike topic, I think a lot of people find value in environmental preservation and protection and really want to see that continued as a village asset and amenity, regardless of the sort of outside, component of mountain bike trails specifically. If you've had a chance to look through the plan, there's two different components, the main document and the appendices. The appendices documents all that public input like we talked about, also has all your background existing conditions, data analysis, that kind of thing. I'll just focus on the main part of the document, the plan itself. The first couple of chapters, introduction, setting the stage with goals and priorities, really dives into the meat of the plan in chapter 4, where we look at the analysis components of, in particular, in park planning, we look at park land acres per 1,000 residents. When we're looking at the village of DeForest right now, you are very comparable or exceed national averages and comparable communities when we looked at those figures. So you're doing a great job. But we also know on the flip side of that, this is a growing community. And so if we want to maintain those standards, that means additional parkland will be needed. To that point, the village has already acquired several pieces of property that are planned for future parks, and that will help create the opportunity for the village to continue to maintain this high level of service that they provide to the village residents right now. Likewise, we look at the geographical distribution of park facilities in relationship to the population. That's maps 2 through 5. What we found is pretty well distributed facilities throughout the community, but likewise to that same point, as the community grows, we're probably going to need to add new parks and facilities to that system to be able to serve those new residents. And so those are identified within the recommendations chapter as opportunities for consideration in the future. So that's really the meat. In chapter 5 is the recommendations. That's recommendations for every individual park, in addition to those future opportunities, whether it's big picture or opportunities for trail connections, all those different types of amenities and attributes. Chapter 6 provides a little bit of guidance on cost projections related to these improvements to help in the budgeting process. And then finally, chapter 7 is how do we go from today, adoption of this plan, hopefully, to implementation of this plan? What are the steps that are related and needed for that to take place? And I just wanted to sort of hammer home the same point. The plan does truly reflect the public input that we gathered. We did not do this on our own. Staff and myself, worked with a variety of different, other staff people and knowledge of existing conditions and impressions of what's going on, national standards, trends, all those types of things. But what we really try to do is focus and hone in on what we heard from the people and influence the plan in that direction. So we have, smaller improvements identified that are reflective of some of those bigger picture goals like sustainability or wayfinding, those types of things. We have recommended improvements for each individual facility and maintenance programs associated with those. We also have recreation types identified for each individual park, whether that's active, passive, natural areas, or most often some combination thereof to help in that guidance piece. And then we also have big picture opportunities like we talked about. And so some of those are these big topics that relate more to needing to do some analysis, needing to do some other additional due diligence before they're implemented. But likewise, they could be implemented in different parks that exist today. They could be implemented in a future park. And so we didn't necessarily define those as specifically outside of providing that guidance for village staff and leadership as yourselves. There's a variety of other recommendations related to recreational programming, collaboration, because we know the village can't do this by itself. One thing I just wanted to point out, what we aim to do in helping you guys as future park land acquisition opportunities present themselves, we came up with a quantitative tool that's embedded within the plan that basically you can look at a new piece of property that's maybe proposed to be a park and quantify that with a score in how reflective that is in comparison to the plan, not only the goals, the recommendations, but the strategies, the maps, all of those different things. It's just one additional tool for you as decision makers to use in the process. It's not the end all be all. It's not, we're for sure going for it because it scored 100. It's just another way for you to understand, all right, is this actually implementing our plan with this piece of property as is proposed? So overall, that's a high-level summary of a lot that's in this document. I hope you've had an opportunity to read through it. There was one minor change requested at the Public Services Committee in November, and that was basically to change the nomenclature or the names associated with some of the future parklands that have been acquired by the village, but are not yet implemented in terms of being functional parks, and instead use a name related to the location of those parks rather than a use. And so that would reflect how we've identified other future parks. So I think consistency-wise, that makes a lot of sense. It's a very minor edit, but I just wanted to bring it forward as another potential consideration for a recommendation here this evening. So with that, I will conclude and thank you. And
All right.
yeah.
I appreciate it. Reese or Judd or anyone else, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add. I mean, I just guess to say that Ben has been wonderful to work with. I mean, I think he did a great job really capturing what the public input was and working with us and kind of walking us through our first time of also doing a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. So it's been a great process, and I think he kind of hit everything. I did want to just note, we did also realize that there's a couple edits that we would be looking to make on some trail maps. So if we go for approval today, we would hope to just allow staff to be able to make those changes with Ben. They're minor things where it says existing trail and we just need to put it for future trail, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see anyone wanting to appear. So I would close the joint public hearing at 5:19 PM. Nobody hanging out in the lobby, Alex, huh? Okay. All right, well, with that then, we have closed the public hearing and we will move on to our action items. Before we get to recommendations, I would ask if anybody from the commissions or from the board or from the Public Services Committee has questions or wants clarification. Jim.
I guess I wanted what you had on screen where you talked about different names of the special use parks. I was the one that made that comment, or one of them if there was more than one. But I was specifically, when I made that comment, it was that those parks are not named. So I was thinking more of having it named to be determined or unnamed park, and then maybe a location to be more specific. I think it's good what you did there as far as the special use parks, but I can also think of like another park, the Rivers Turn Park, that is not developed. When we've talked about it at the public service, there's actually two different River Turns Park. Do you know what I mean? There's the unnamed one or undeveloped one and the one that's existing. So when I was talking again about the names, it was more specifically sort of all parks that haven't been developed. I don't want, say, a name to be put on them before they're actually developed and named by whatever village board or whoever names them at the time.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I did kind of look through all of the parks that were identified in the plan. And like that Rivers Turn one, it's identified in the plan as Rivers Turn Phase 3 Park. So I think what I had looked at is what were ones that were more specified. And so then just trying to make sure that people understood where these parks were located. And I think those were the three that I really identified that weren't specifically, I don't think the public in general would know where those locations were without kind of having those specifications, so.
Okay. Yes.
Thought the report was very, very well done. I've read through most of it, but I'd be lying if I said I read every single page. But I did pick up on one fact that brought up a question. And that fact is that a lot of the statistics and benchmarks are based on village population. The village is growing pretty fast. I understand population projections can be inaccurate. So the question is, are there contingencies for population growth that either exceeds or does not meet the projections?
Okay, good question.
We're going to probably defer to Ben. My guess would be is that there's the flexibility in this plan for us to do what's needed. Whether we hit those projections or exceed them, right? We can always amend this to a degree if need be, if things are going that rapidly, but.
Yeah, I think one thing that we tried to do was provide as much basis for those projections as possible. They're projections, they could be wrong tomorrow, they probably are. But in some respect, they at least give us a guidepost to say, we want to continue as a village prioritizing this high level of service related to the quality of life and the components that the village residents really value in terms of park and open space. So if that ultimately means that we add 40 acres of parkland over the next 10 years, or if that means we add 10, it's still prioritizing the fact that we want to continue to expand that. So like Judd said, I don't think it's the end all be all. Nobody's holding you to the number that's projected in that plan. And in fact, with the amount of parkland you've already acquired that's planned for parks, you satisfy that requirement for the next 5 years. And so the active due diligence and proactiveness of staff and yourselves have already led you on that path. The plan just sort of reiterates that.
Thank you very much.
And I might just add that budgets always have an impact on what we can or can't do. And so we will in fact take that into account. So Rebecca, and then Jim, you had your hand up again.
Well, I was just gonna clarify too, to me, this plan is a lot, say like the comprehensive plan that we talk about at the village or at planning and zoning, and how this is amended quite often when you touch it up when you get the next, say, development, but in this case, a park implementation, figure it out, and then we'll come back.
Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm kind of leading off of some of what you guys have been talking about. I too, did I read every word in there? No. Did I read the bulk of it? Mostly. But I touched on the parts that I felt were probably maybe a little bit, could have been a little bit more controversial. I think you guys did a really good job in what we came up with. And I want to say thank you to all the hard work that everybody on the committees, the staff, our awesome consultant did. But getting back to the plan, land is finite. There is only so much. I think like what you said, we are set up very well for the next 5 years. Beyond that, I don't have any idea at this point in time. But with all that said, when land becomes more and more constrained as we grow, as we reach our boundaries, wherever they may be at that point in time, assuming we reach some boundaries. I'm assuming that then we would focus, and we'd have to revisit all this again anyway. But I'm assuming then we would start to focus on maybe redeveloping some parks if needed to better accommodate the needs at that point in time. If we needed to do something like that. Is that kind of your assumption also? I hope that made sense.
Yeah, and I do this in communities all over southern Wisconsin. Many of them are not growing at the pace of DeForest, and many of them are they're fully at capacity with what they have. They do not want to acquire any more parks. They want to maintain and improve their existing. It's a little bit different, unique situation here where you guys are growing and you potentially have opportunities to create new offerings and amenities. And that's something that the village residents value. And so I think that's reiterated in this plan. And I think in 2030, when you update this plan again, because it's every 5-year cycle, things are going to be dramatically different. And whether you're still on that trajectory that we're at right now, or you're taking a different path, I think that's a perfect opportunity to re-examine it. The comprehensive plan that, is related to land use and zoning, that's a 10-year document, whereas this document is every 5 years. So it does have a little bit more flexibility built into it inherently to say, all right, things have changed in 5 years. We need to address something differently. Versus some more of that longer range thinking. It's still a long range plan, don't get me wrong, but it does have that update every 5 years built into it inherently to hopefully address things exactly like you're talking about.
I would point out the Fireman's Park is a prime example of this. It used to be 3 baseball fields, a parking lot with a restroom facility there. There was a log cabin and a open air shelter. We redesigned that, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, began that process, and it's ever evolving, right? And it's changed to become more of a gathering space for all the community to come in a different configuration, right? So I think that parks, all the properties can evolve as time and things need to be.
Yeah, I really like that flexibility to meet changing needs as needed, because I'd hate to see something get put in that's like just becomes static. But that aside, my only other question at this point in time, I'm just going to throw this question out. I'd love to hear if there's any specific concerns, because I haven't had an opportunity to talk to all y'all. And yes, that was an all y'all. Sorry, it just came out. To see if there was a specific concern of what there is at this point in time. Personally, I think it's done pretty well, but I'm just wanting to make sure I haven't missed something.
I don't see, Bill, I know you're next. I have not heard any negativity or issues, and I don't think Reese or Judd or Greg have either. Good question, though. Bill?
Yeah, I also want to thank Ben for your work. I know it's tough to herd cats, and you've somewhat accomplished that in DeForest by getting the opinions and getting the data, and you can break it down even further. But I mean, that's what the next 5 years is, to determine the needs, and they do change. And touch on what Mike Broger had said about population change. As an example, down in the Tierney development, they're building the hockey rink, building all those apartments. And there is a park down there, Tierney Park, as a shelter. There's also Regstead Park. I've never been down there. I keep telling myself I have to go down there. And it's hidden, and it's a different kind of park. It's not playgrounds and this and that. And the hockey rink will also have a special events area that the park we'll be able to use at times for events, large events. You'll have a hillside for concerts and things like that. So it's not just 30 acres of new Fireman's Park. It's different kinds of parks. And one thing this plan pointed out and came to light was just because you have, say, 3 or 4 acres, say over a conservancy for a new park, that it's not automatically, you're gonna have a tot lot with, you know, swings and things like that. We're gonna ask the neighborhood, what would you like? Do you want basketball? Do you want shelters? Do you want this or that? But in the past, it was automatic. Oh, we're gonna spend 50,000, put up swings and a slide, and that doesn't work anymore. We need to use our money more wisely so that the parks are used. Why automatically put a tot lot in an area where it's, say, older people? And this plan kind of spells that out. And the grading of the parks, do we you know, in the past, say Western Green, that was dedicated as parkland. Well, it's, as most people know, it's underwater a lot of times of the year, and we shouldn't accept parkland like that. So I think today that wouldn't be acceptable. So it's a way to measure when a developer comes in and says, we want to give you this piece of land, and we'll be able to grade it. But overall, very good work. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Jim?
So I too agree. You've done a great job of collecting data and everything and putting together this park plan, but I guess I don't want to really surprise anybody, but being my background has been making maps, or I've made a career of it, I'm personally not happy with the way the map looks. So I myself will not be voting positively, but I don't want that to overshadow how well done the rest of the plan was. So that's why I've been holding back that comment tonight. But what I do wish to talk about a little bit is as far as how we expect to implement this, because I think it's important for people to understand. Say, and Reese, I guess I'm looking at you because what I've heard from you is like, okay, you're planning on going and having like neighborhood meetings with each park. So to me, this is not going to be a stale document. It's something that we're going to be building on over the next 5 years to really implement it to what the public is looking for. And do you want to elaborate at all, Reese?
Yeah, so we're planning to, working with Stacy, we're planning to do some neighborhood, I think 3 neighborhood meetings in different parts of the community. We haven't exactly nailed down the parks that we're doing, but I think what our plan as staff is to be able to bring this document and show some of the recommended improvements for parks in their area and get their feedback on that of saying, you know, what do you think? Do you like these improvements? You know, is there something else? And, you know, if there's feedback that we receive back that we feel would need to change the document, then ultimately we would bring that back to the committee. And certainly for those meetings, both the board and the Public Service Committee, or I mean, anyone from the public would be welcome to attend those as well to hear from the public. But I think that's what we're looking to do. And we're also looking to make some concept plans for some of the parks because, you know, the everyday person does not develop parks. And you know, we want to kind of give an idea of, hey, here are some things that could go in this park. Again, what do you think? Because ultimately, we just want what the public is interested in. You know, we have no real vested interest in, I want to make sure that this playground goes in this park. We just want to make sure it's what the public wants.
Thank you, Reese.
Okay, Jean?
Hey, Jim, I'm just interested, what is it that you don't, briefly, what is it that you don't care for in regards to the maps?
Again, it's a map making quality. If I look at the map and to me, like the one that's on screen, I believe the purpose of the map, and it says right on it, is the future facilities. And to me, the facilities are the trails and the parks. And what jumps out on my screen to me is all the names of the roads that actually cover up the trails and make it hard to actually see some of the connections of the trails.
Except from a layperson's standpoint, I like to see the names of the streets. And I work with maps all the time too. I mean, but so you're concerned with not seeing the trails?
I believe a lot of the names of the road are overtopping the trails and I can't see the connections of them in.
So maybe there's a way for us to make that better.
Yes, I believe so.
And perhaps we could recommend approval with changes to the maps. Something to consider rather than stop the progress. Okay. Any other?
I got something.
Rebecca?
Yeah, just thank you for asking that because I wanted to ask the question, but hadn't gotten to it. You know, in looking at the map and to your point, I think maybe it's a little cluttered. It's a little cluttered and I can see where you're coming from. I too like to see at least some designation of where things are, but maybe we don't need as many so that you can better see the trails themselves and the connections. Maybe be a little bit more judicious in which street names we have, maybe.
Reese?
I did also just want to note, we are in the process of actually just redoing our trail map. So there will be a map separate from this plan that just identifies our trails. It's done. I just don't think we've released it yet.
Okay.
Published it.
Were you trying to say more?
No, I was just going to point out another example, but it doesn't need to be done.
Okay. Well, maybe you can communicate those to staff. That would be helpful to us. All right. If there's no other questions, what we're going to do is each body is going to have the opportunity under action items to recommend the approval or not approval, but approval of the plan. So Jim will look for a motion from the Public Services Committee. And then Jim will ask for a motion from the Planning and Zoning Committee. And then the Village Board will be asked for a motion. And so I think we're ready to start that process. Jim?
Yep, I believe so. And I guess if I could ask for assistance from staff, because 5.1, I'll read it in, is recommendation by the Public Services Committee regarding the 2024 draft comprehensive outdoor research recreation plan. And this is a recommendation. I believe it's a recommendation to the village board. Can somebody confirm that or?
Correct.
Is there a recommendation?
The recommendation to the board to adopt this.
Is there a written one in the packet? I don't remember, or is it just simply? Well, I guess I'm opening up that part of the discussion. I think, Reese, you made a comment that there's modifications that you're going to make to the trail map. Is that correct?
Correct. So we would be looking for a recommendation to the village board to approve the updated 2020, I think it's 5 to 2029 comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, allowing staff to make corrections to Trail Map 6 and including the recommendations from the Public Service Committee.
Okay. That's
That's
the
not
staff
convincing.
recommendation for our committee to make. Yeah.
No, you can just say.
Like
reset.
that.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. So the motion was made by Matt and seconded by Dawn. Any further discussion, Bill?
Does that motion also include the special park names? Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion passes 5-1.
All right.
So,
Then 5.2.
yep, 5.2 is Planning and Zoning Commission Resolution 2024-920. Adoption of the Village of DeForest 2024 Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan. So again, this is Resolution 2024-920.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-920.
Motion by Colleen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jean. I'm a bit curious, can somebody pull that up on screen, or does that need to be tweaked at all to include your changes to the map?
Can you minimize the people?
I do believe it would need to also include the same notes that we had in the previous motion, because it was not, those notes were not included in this resolution.
Colleen, is that what you wanted?
I'm sorry, that was the assumption on my part that it would include all of your previous language.
No, I'll accept that.
Thank you, Jean. Brandy?
I just do have a clarification question because the recommendation for the public services was for the 2025 through 2030 plan. This resolution says the 2024 plan as the title.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussions, comments? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. Item 5.3, the Village Board of Trustees, Resolution 2024-102, adoption of the Village of DeForest 2024 Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan. And this includes the change.
Move to approve with the language that was stated earlier.
Second.
A motion and a second. Thank you, Tashidra. Any further comment or discussion? If not,
One piece of discussion. So, Jim, I just want to clarify. It's the maps that I'm just wanting to make sure I'm understanding what your objection is to this, because I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Is it pretty much just the maps that are the issue for you at this point?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Motion carries. All right, 6-1. Thank you. We don't have a closed session. So just a little bit of excitement here. So unless there's other business to come before this body, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
joint-
adjourn.
Adjourn the
Motion
joint
to adjourn.
meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. We have a motion and a second.
Said it already.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Join this meeting.
Join it.
Jane.
All right. Just so you know, we're gonna take a break. For village board members, lunches are in the back room if you ordered a lunch or a supper. All right, here we go. We're gonna try this again. We'll call the meeting to order on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 6 PM. This is the regular village board meeting. I would ask Callie to note roll call. And I would ask Tashidra to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm gonna use my purse up here then. All right. Announcements. The village board will convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85(1)(e) of the Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Tonight, negotiating an intermunicipal boundary agreement with the town of Westport. Item 5, consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wants separated out? Jim?
I guess I'd like to take them each individually if we could.
All three of them?
Yep.
Okay, we're taking them one at a time then. Item 5.1, approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 11/19/2024 minutes. Any? Yes. Bill?
I just had a question. Our residents are identified by street addresses, and there are people in there that are just identified by city. The dentist, Sun Prairie, another dentist, just Wisconsin.
They did not provide their address, just that they were a dentist in the Sun Prairie area. So that's why they're listed that way.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion
I
carries.
abstain, Jane.
You abstained?
I do.
Okay. I just didn't hear you. All right, we have one abstentions. Did you catch that, Callie? Okay. Item 5.2, approval of ordinances. Ordinance 2024-026, an ordinance amending section 19.073B2 of the DeForest Municipal Code relating to dog fees for dog licenses, or relating to fees for dog licenses.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Well, we have hands. Okay, Bill and then Jim.
I object that the amount of increases is kind of out of hand. And I don't see a breakdown. Yeah, the tags, staff time, postage fees haven't gone up the 29-30% that these do, so I'm gonna object to it.
Okay. Jim?
I guess I have a similar concern, and that's why I wanted this one broken apart. But I also want to talk about, because from what I can tell on this graphic, it looks like a lot of the jump is the county fees, not necessarily the municipal fee. Is that correct?
That is correct. The county this year has raised their prices. Previously, as you can see, we charged $17. That does not even cover the cost of the new license on the county end. So we did have to increase those. The postage fees, because we have online services now, which has been requested by a lot of the community for the convenience of being able to register their dogs online, pay online, and not have to make a special trip into Village Hall. We do mail the license to the residents. So that postage fee is just to cover our cost of the postage.
Yes, Rebecca. And then Jan.
When people pay, this is more curiosity than anything. When people pay online, they're obviously using a credit card, or at least most of the time. I'm assuming there's an option for like a bank draw.
We do have the ACH option.
Okay. When they're paying with a credit card, do they pay the credit card processing fee as well?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Jan? Jan?
I just wanted to say, until I saw this, I never realized that the county charged a fee. And I did notice then, looking at the numbers, that the county jumped up quite a bit, and that's really what's pushing a lot of this. So I just wanted to say that I was surprised to see this, and I think a lot of residents would be surprised to see this and maybe won't understand why they're jumping like they are, but I don't know that we have a choice.
Even with this increase in rates, I've compared our cost to communities surrounding us. We are still at a lower cost than surrounding communities. And previously we were substantially less. So.
We have Bill and then Jim.
Just a general question. The fees, they go into the general fund? The village portion? There's nothing, say, if we have $5,000 in fees, that a portion would go to dog park improvements, things like that. Okay. I'd like to kind of explore that in the future.
Okay. Jim?
One question to clarify and then a comment I was gonna make. So when somebody gets a fee for the dog tags, that also includes going to the dog park?
That is correct. Our dog park is offered at no charge to village residents. And then we do have a non-resident dog park fee. So say residents of Windsor are able to use our dog park. However, they do have to purchase a separate tag for, I believe it's $25 a year.
Okay.
Okay, and then my follow-up question is, I personally say, I think we want to promote spading and neutering. And I see that's a difference that you've done from the old to the new, where the municipal fee is all the same, where in the past there was actually two different for the village fee. And I think it'd be nice to actually create more separation, I'll say, by having a dollar difference even.
Definitely per state statute, I believe, Al. The village can't make money on the license. We just can recoup our costs. So that's why our costs are broken out. I broke them out in that paragraph as to, you know, the staff time it takes to process the fees and process the applications. And then we also have to generate several reports and do reporting to the county 3 to 4 times a year. And the cost incurring that we incur with that, and then the postage, and also the cost of the online program. So we can't charge more on our end for, it doesn't cost us any more whether somebody's dog is altered or unaltered. The county, however, has that increase and difference.
Okay. Al?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple of things for informational purposes. The amount that the county charges also includes a mandatory state tax. So there's a state tax, the county adds to that, the village adds to that. That's where you get the number that you're looking at. And also by state law, there's a requirement that the fee be higher for unspayed and unneutered dogs. But as Kelly mentioned, from the village's standpoint, we can only charge enough to cover our costs of the program. The county, with the figures they came up with, does have higher fees for the unspayed and unneutered. And so that provision is taken care of through that.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Rebecca?
Since I unfortunately don't have a puppy dog anymore, I'm not as familiar with these fees, I will be honest. Are these annual fees?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so then like the $17 one, the first one, that's for an altered
Correct.
male, female? What do you mean?
They need spayed or neutered.
Okay, well then what's this down at the bottom?
So the table at the top is where we currently are charging, what we currently are charging. The one on the bottom is the proposed increase to fees.
So
that would take place January 1st.
So then the altered MF would be the same as the spayed neutered.
Correct.
And the unaltered MF would be the okay, got it.
Unspayed,
Thank you.
unneutered.
That makes much more sense now. Thank you.
Transgender.
Huh? Oh.
All right, we're being naughty. All right, with that, any more questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 20.
We have a motion and a second.
Oh, we have a motion and a second.
I have
Thank you. You're
Colleen.
way ahead of me.
Jan.
All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for catching that. All right, approval of resolution 2024-103, a resolution directing the village finance director to write off uncollectible personal property taxes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comment? Yes, Jim.
I just wanted some more discussion. It seemed like a lot of those were, I'll say, relatively small or less than 100. And then there was one that stood out. I have it written down as 672. But I'm sure you have more history than I do. I just saw that there was some things that had happened in the recent, say, last year on that 672.
Typically what happens with personal property taxes is the assessment is based, of course, on January 1st. So if businesses existed on January 1st, they don't get their actual personal property tax bill until December. And if sometime during the course of the year, they go out of business, this is a lot of times where we end up with these personal property taxes that just don't get paid. Because by the time they get the bill in December, the business is no longer there. So the dollar amount is kind of irrelevant, I guess. It's just, some personal property tax bills are small and some are a little larger, but they're all pretty much the same situation. They, at some point during the year, went out of business. And although we've tried for the last 12 months to reach these people, they are no longer in business, so they don't think they should have to pay it. It makes it difficult to collect.
Okay. Bill Chang.
Jim, I don't have the listing of all that's included in that $672. But the type of business indicates that as a fitness organization, they may have carried more equipment than the other types of businesses. So, and is the likelihood that's why that number is so much bigger.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess just a follow-up question is like, what other means do we have to get that 672? I mean, is it?
Small claims court. And then try to collect a judgment after that.
We have to win a small claims court and then we can garnish or whatever.
Yeah, winning in small claims court is generally not difficult on a personal property tax case. The problem is it's not free either. So you're spending good money after bad. For a few $100s, it's probably not going to be worth it because you still have to try to collect the judgment after you received it.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Are there any public appearances, either in person here or online? All right. No presentations, no old business, and no new business. We're just rolling. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 9.1, authorize village president to sign letter for support to interstate enumeration in the 2025-27 biennial budget. Bill?
Yeah, so you'll see a copy of the draft letter as part of your packet here. This request did come through the TPC members and then to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. It is recommended by the League of Wisconsin Municipalities that communities that are impacted by the interstate corridor study and hopefully the enumeration and eventual construction or reconstruction of that part of the highway submit a letter of support. You'll see in the letter that not only do we talk about the expansion of lanes, the adjustments to the intersections along our section of the highway, we did also add in comments and information about the potential impact of growth to the county highway intersection. As you know, we are writing a letter to the governor's office and our elected officials. This would be a prudent way to get language in there to get more funding towards infrastructure projects that impact the village. Happy to take on any questions on this. Go from there.
All right. Bill?
Would this enable the project to start now instead of 5 years? Because talking to somebody that worked at DOT, the interstate project, they're gonna start at the Dells and move down here.
Yeah,
So, I mean, even if Highway V was taken out of the project and now it's gonna be added back, but of course it'll be cheaper to do it now. That's a tough sell to build this and then, you know, start up at the Dells. The Dells won't start till 28, 29, and then by the time it gets here, Even, if this doesn't go through 31.
Sure. Yeah, so there are a lot of steps in this process. If you remember back to the presentation conducted by DOT, this past year was the study, the environmental impact study, is what they called it. That ended in December, or will be ending here in December, putting together the final impact statement. Once that's conducted, they have to go for enumeration, both state and federally. And until the funding gets enumerated, then they can start construction, or start bidding for construction, et cetera, design. If you see in the letter, this is in support of enumeration of funding into the 25-27 state biennial budget. And so this is going to the governor's office. The state needs to be able to allocate the funding towards this project before the feds do, see the commitment towards the whole section. So the enumeration into that budget is not going to help us, say, this coming year. If it does get approved, it has to go through the legislative process, and a lot of things can change in that. What it does allow us to do, if it is approved in that budget, it provides us a path to getting to it, right? So then at that point, we can have a better understanding of the financial projection and the financial package, to fill the gap in the meantime.
Okay, any other questions? Jim?
Bill, if you could go to the paragraph that discusses the Highway V interchange. And the question I guess I'll bring up is if we want to elaborate a bit more, and I see the Buc-ee's mentioned in there, but to me, it's also about, we've also got a lot of other plans in that interchange. If we want to say, add the extra like industrial growth, and then also the second follow-up thing too is I feel like jobs could be really important too I guess I don't know who the TPC members are, but say to the governor, I would think the jobs would be important.
Yeah, I struggled with that initially because the proposals that we currently have in that area are simply proposals at this point. In the case of Buc-ee's, we did receive a memo officially making a request of the village. If I had something stronger than just a verbal proposal at this point, I think I would include it. Something like a development agreement, or a letter from that business committing to it. I think we would. The only thing that we have, I think, currently is the development agreement with the Dickman Company, or TDC DeForest, for the 182 square feet industrial. And that's all speculative right now. And then we also have the skid loaders plus out there. But the remaining projects are all speculative at this point.
Do you remember how many jobs Buc-ee's said would be at that station?
200 full-time jobs.
Okay. I just want, again, I'm sorry to belabor the point, but it is, look at that investment from Buc-ee's expected to be above 50 million and 200 jobs.
Yeah, we can put that information in there.
Okay. Did everybody hear that? Your voice trailed off.
Sorry.
Rebecca?
Just the nitpicky person in me just saw, you have a typo. Benefit more than Buc-ee's alone. Thank you.
That's why they pay you the big bucks. All right, anybody else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the letter
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. There's no other comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9.2, discussion and possible action regarding agreement with USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services to assist with deer management plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9.3, discussion and approval for the village administrator to sign a cold weather paving acknowledgement with Tri-County Paving for Pepsi Way. It did get cold on us. Colleen?
I just have to ask, if they're saying it's not a good idea, why are we wanting to go through with it?
The engineers are comfortable, Becker and is comfortable that it will last. It's just the binder part, right? The top coat will go in the spring, which will solidify. This should hold up quite well through there. And if not, I guess that's a decision we'll have to make at that point come springtime. But we're pretty confident that it'll be successful. We're going to do it on the warmest day as we can.
Sunday.
Huh?
Sunday. 42?
We live in Wisconsin. Give it a day. It'll change.
We don't have
Well-
5 feet of snow.
Yeah, Bill.
So if you remember, we also have a development agreement with Quick Trip on this portion of road. This contract is getting paid 50% by the T grant and then 50% or the remainder amount by reimbursement from Quick Trip. So understanding that we did reach out to Quick Trip, they are comfortable with us moving forward and getting this paved this year rather than next year because it has that much of an impact on them finishing construction.
Thank you. Rebecca?
So if, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, we go ahead and do this and for whatever reason it fails at some point, how does it get funded to fix?
So before it gets to the failing portion, this is the base code. So base layer, they're gonna proof it next year before they go over with the second layer anyways. And so the risk is minimum. We'd be able to catch it and inspect it before we accept the full road.
Okay, thank you.
And if there are any bad spots, we can cut those sections out and put in that base again and then go over the top. We've roll tested it, so it meets the biggest, the most important part of any road is what's underneath. And that has been done to our standards that we have, which are higher than most others.
And this, I assume, will facilitate construction through the winter.
Yes, that goes, the road goes just beyond Northtown, the proposed where Northtown would, so that will allow trucks to get in and out for the 3 buildings that are going up.
Okay, good. Jim and Greg, were you trying to add something?
No, Judd hit everything, so we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad you approve.
I guess I didn't see in there where it was only the base layer, so I just want to make sure that it is only the base and not the surface. So that was good to hear that it's the base layer only. And I would agree with what Judd said as far as it sounds like you've already done the proof rolling, so hopefully the aggregate is good. So I'd say if the worst case, if any of this failed, we would just mill it up and put new before the surface, so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 10, presentation of resolutions and ordinances. 10.1, ordinance 2024-027, an ordinance to approve the attachment of highway lands adjacent to Dental Road from the town of Burke to the village of DeForest. Mr. Chang, do you want to say something?
Sure. Can someone go to the GIS map and go to Dental Road and Pedrelli Road? Right.
There's Dental. So what are you saying, Dental and what?
It's a new road. It's Pedrelli. Is that correct? So as they find this, I'll start talking. So if you remember, we have an agreement with the town of Burke. It was for the attachment of that about 66 acres or so to the village for development of the Likewise Partners industrial spec facilities. As part of that, there was a secondary attachment of Dental Road. The section of Dental Road was not an immediate attachment. It was a deferred attachment based on whether or not the town of Burke would receive the grant that they had applied for at that time to reconstruct Dental Road. And so in that time frame, it was discovered that more right-of-way was needed, and this right-of-way is at the north east quadrant or corner of Pedrelli and Dental Road, so right in there. And so the private landowner at that time dedicated that right-of-way to the town of Burke as the road was in the town at that point. Upon the town of Burke not receiving the grant and informing that they have not received the grant, the road then transferred to the village. And however, because we didn't catch that right away language into the agreement, the right of way stayed in the town of Burke. So this is fixing that. And we've spoken with the town of Burke. The town of Burke actually filed a petition to detach this portion from the town and attach it to the village of DeForest. This ordinance will then accept that into the village of DeForest.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Did you say something?
Just eyed.
Okay. All right, item 10.2, resolution 2024-104. A resolution authorizing the village president and clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement to fund, a position responsible for stormwater information, education, and outreach coordination for the Madison area municipal stormwater partnership. Judd, this is a regular annual thing, right?
It's every number of years, 4 to 5 years, they set the rates for what will be for MAM swap. It's a very important part for us. It helps us out with our stormwater in education and outreach, which is part of our responsibility with our stormwater permit from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. So it's a cooperative effort. It's such things as the mural, if you remember the mural down at the high school that says where the rainwater goes. They do a clean sweep event once a year. They also have done Adopt the Storm Drain, which is coming back favorably. They're doing the compost water rain barrels that we have here and in Middleton. We're disseminating to folks. So they're doing a lot of good things for us. They provided us the rainfall simulator. So it's advantageous and the cost is very effective for us.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Thank you. Jim?
So I just want to question it a bit more. I know it's a low dollar amount, but Can you explain more what they do versus, say, what we have staff do? I know we have like newsletters and our different websites, and I'm assuming that's internal staff that do those postings. Is that
So a lot of the
news that
postings,
got fed to us, or?
a lot of the postings that we get from them, right? So Saltwise is another avenue that's part of the MAM swap. So they're generating a lot of that information that we share back onto our website or onto Facebook and other things. It helps us have a collaborative effort. It also helps us, there's a component there with illicit discharges that MAM swap can help assist with as well if we're not able to take that up. So it benefits us with us not having to create, from the ground up new programs year after year.
Okay. Anything else? We have a motion and a second, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 11, there are no communications tonight. Committee, commission, and board reports are in your packets. There were no updates, but I would ask staff, is there anything burning that you need to share with us?
I believe Alex has got an update on Small Business Week.
So Stacy and Trisha coordinated an amazing small shop local small business week through December 7th. 24 businesses participated. They had a special visitor. You might have seen some of the social media. The Grinch was found in certain parts of the village, throwing darts at Club 51 apparently. Shoppers throughout the week were caught supporting local businesses and gifted gift cards to other local businesses. Had a lot of buzz on social media. All the business participants were very happy. And it will be featured in the formerly DeForest Times Tribune. And the passport drawing will be this coming Monday for a grand prize basket and additional gift cards to local businesses. So it was a successful event. As a side note too, you'll probably see this week yet an article in the paper after 41 years in business, DeForest Liquor will be closing their doors December 31st at 9 p.m. And apparently, talking with the guys who own the place, there will be some very, very healthy sales. So load up.
One quick question. You said it's over December 7th, the support local businesses?
Yep, December 7th, and then the passport drawing will be December 9th.
A special thank you to Trisha's husband for being the Grinch.
You're not supposed to tell people.
Oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought.
And now it's recorded.
Did you mean like personality or just as part of the business?
The fact that he put the stupid suit on.
Okay.
I've seen pictures.
Speaking of our business, our local businesses, are you aware there's a new manager at Pick and Save?
There's what?
A new manager, new store manager. Jeff he moved to a new location. I just thought it might be good for you guys to reach out to the new manager.
Okay. Reese?
I'll just share quickly. So we have the holiday tree lighting tomorrow night. And of course, it's going to be brisk. But we'll have some fires going, hot chocolate and everything. So that will be over in the park at 5. And then on Friday, we have the candlelight hike at Western Green Park. Weather looks nicer for that. It seems like that's a trend.
Rebecca?
What time does the tree lighting start? The reason I'm asking is I don't get off until 5 and it takes me until 5:30 to get here.
Yeah, 5:30 will be by the time we'll light it up.
Okay.
Yeah, takes us a little bit to get going, so.
Okay. Anything else? Well, I will let that be our president's report, and I would entertain a motion to convene into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
too much going on. Trustee Little,
I,
trustee Simpson,
Aye.
trustee Stefan Hagenhan,
Aye.
trustee Witherspoon,
Aye.
trustee Allen,
Aye.
trustee Langrav,
Aye.
President Cahill Wolfgram.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thanks. All right. All right. So with that, we are back in open session, and I would ask if there's any other business to lawfully come before the board. If not, are you guys ready? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:15 PM.